Today we have gathered together to give thanks to the Lord for the gift of the priesthood of Reverend Father Ravi, who is celebrating his 25th year of his priestly ordination. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to extend my words of congratulations to Reverend Father Ravi for being faithful in these 25 years to the mission which was entrusted by the Lord, and also for being faithful to the missionary charism of Msfs, which has trained him, molded him, and entrusted him various responsibilities with the spirituality of their founder, St. Francis de Sales. I feel I am privileged to preach in this auspicious occasion for two reasons. Firstly, Father Ravi and me traveled few miles together in this long occasional journey as we were together in Jnanadeep Vidyapith, Pune for philosophy. Of course, those years we PMA seminarians were staying in De Nobili College. I feel it's a great moment to recall those beautiful memories of our formation and rejoice in the Lord for accompanying us with His infinite love, irrespective of our failures and unfaithfulness. Secondly, as I am also living 25th year of my priestly ministry in this year, it's a great joy for me to share and meditate the same experience of God's love and His fidelity in our journey of these past 25 years. In this homily, I would like to be more introspective and self-critic and a friendly sharing. First question I put for myself in this year is, what is the meaning of a Jubilee year? Why should we celebrate these Jubilee celebrations like 25 years, 50 years, then 60 years, and etc.? What the Word of God says about these kind of celebrations, how these celebrations are experienced in the history of the church, and why we priests and religious should feel the vibrations of these years. These questions come to my mind as I am living this 25 years of my priestly ordination. The first thing it comes to my mind is the Tibetan story of cat and monastery. Many of us have heard, but allow me to say once again. Once upon a time, there was a monastery in Tibet. The monks in the monastery meditated from dawn to dusk. One day, it so happened that a cat trespassed into the monastery and disturbed the monks. The head monk instructed that the cat be caught and tied to the banyan tree until dusk. He also advised that every day, to avoid hindrance during the meditation, the cat be tied to the banyan tree. So it became a daily practice, a tradition in the monastery, to catch the cat and tie to the banyan tree before the monks start meditating. The cat remained tied to the banyan tree as the monks meditated. The tradition continued. One day, the head monk died. As per tradition, the senior most monk was chosen as head monk, and all other traditions, including tying the cat to the banyan tree, was continued. One day, the cat also died. The whole monastery plunged into chaos, confusion. A committee was formed to find a solution, and it was unanimously decided that they should buy a new cat and be bought from nearby market and tied to the banyan tree before starting the meditation each day. So first thing, I would like to exclude from my thoughts is that the celebration of Jubilee is not an unmeaningful traditional celebration. But this celebration should be a celebration of gratitude, celebration of gratefulness, and it should be a meaningful celebration and also a fruitful celebration. First of all, it should be a grateful celebration, a celebration of gratitude. Yes, when I look back to my past, only that word that comes to my mind is that gratefulness and gratitude. Yes, one need to be grateful and one must extend token of gratitude. First of all to God, who has been so close to me than to myself. Confessions of St. Augustine. Celebration of Jubilee is first of all an experience of God's love. It is a God-centered celebration. God is the protagonist of this celebration. In Leviticus chapter 25, we can see the purpose of launching of the Jubilee year. Year of Jubilee is considered as a holy year with two main themes. The first one is liberation and the second one is consolation. These two themes such as liberation and consolation are very much related to the year of Jubilee as they celebrate every 50th year to recall the beautiful experience of God's marvelous love during their exodus. In the lives of Israelites, the liberation and consolation play very important role. In the Jubilee year, they blow the trumpet made up of ram's horn. In Hebrew, it is called Jobel, which is the root word of Jubilee. In this Jubilee year, they are instructed to blow this horn to say how God has saved them and how God protected them and how God liberated them from slavery and how God consoled them during the times of difficulties, trials and crises, and how God encouraged them to continue their journey irrespective of their problems and crises. And finally, it is the celebration because God transformed the lives of these people. In Isaiah chapter 61, we see the proclamation of the year of Lord's favor, which is strictly connected with the bringing good tidings to the afflicted, binding up the brokenhearted, proclaiming liberty to the captives. Even in Luke 4:18-19, as Jesus takes the book of Isaiah, reads out the same paragraph in the synagogue to say that he is continuing the same mission which was started in the Old Testament. In our priesthood, we too are called to carry on the same mission of Jesus. The Catholic Church starts the biblical tradition in 1300 by Pope Boniface VIII. Since then, the Catholic Church continues the celebration of the Jubilee year for every 50 years. And then it is reduced to every 33 years. And then finally, Pope Paul II decreed to celebrate the Jubilee year for every 25 years. And another important purpose of the Jubilee year is reconciliation and forgiveness of sins and sanctification. From 1300 till now, the Catholic Church has celebrated around 30 Jubilee years. All these celebrations are highly remarked with the plenary indulgences, reconciliation and forgiveness of sins. In these Jubilee years, all the faithful are given a special faculty of plenary indulgence. The doors of the four main basilicas in Rome are open in order to facilitate the faithful to enter in and receive the complete absolution of their sins. In the same way, in each diocese, there will be some special sanctuaries, shrines, churches that are considered for the privilege. When a priest or religious celebrate their jubilee years, they too are invited to meditate upon the great mystery of liberation in the history of salvation. The Jubilarian is invited to integrate himself in the history of liberation of Israel. Then only he will understand that his Jubilee is not different from the celebration of Jubilee of Israel. In his life also God played a very important role in liberating him from various clutches that could hinder him from participating fully in the mystery of salvation. Then naturally the year becomes a year of gratefulness towards the Lord, and the life becomes a life of gratitude. Apart from God, undoubtedly, in the life of Father Ravi, in these 25 years, there were so many people who played a very important role to sustain him to walk in the path of the Lord. And it is a time to look back and say big thanks to all those who helped him to walk in this road, which was not always easy. Secondly, it should be a meaningful celebration. From the day of ordination, a priest is given the faculty to celebrate all the sacraments which are channels of grace of God to the people. Among these, in a special way, the sacrament of reconciliation and the sacrament of Eucharist remind a priest the great sacrifice of Jesus on the Calvary for the forgiveness of sins and the whole humanity. A priesthood without reconciliation is as equal as a whitewashed tomb. In order to celebrate the year of Jubilee, the Jubilarian is invited to be more merciful, more kind-hearted, and more forgiving, and more compassionate. Though in the past years we might have not paid much attention to these meaningful qualities, but this year the Jubilarian is asked to meditate on how the year of Jubilee could help him in living the heart of Jesus and the mission of Jesus. A Jubilarian is supposed to be a man of charity, a man of compassion, a man of mercifulness, a man of forgiveness, a man who can go and bind the wounds of the existential peripheries of the humanity, a man who is ready to give himself as food for others, a man for the poor and marginalized societies. Thirdly, it should be a fruitful celebration. As we see in Isaiah 55, 10 to 11, as the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return to it without watering the earth and making it bud with and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, so is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose of which I sent it. Of course, after 25 years of priestly ministry, one cannot say, I have not produced any fruits. Out of humility, one may say, as Jesus said in Luke 17:10, we are unworthy servants, we have done only our duty. Some misunderstood and say, I am proud of my humility. We need to be sincere and simple to accept also our fruits, our achievements, our efforts, our struggles, our failures, our hard work and our sacrifice. I must say that Father Ravi in these 25 years as an educationalist has brightened the lives of so many children. He gave chance to many to undergo a particular disciplinary educational system. He believed that charity and discipline would not go hand in hand. If you want to be charitable, be charitable. Or if you want to be a disciplinary teacher, be disciplinary teacher. But don't mix these two concepts and spoil the education of the children, and don't upset the expectations of the parents who trusted us and put their children in our hands, says Father Ravi in some of our conversations. I could understand his zeal for the education. He believes that the discipline is one of the important criteria of today's educational system. Today they feel uneasy, but tomorrow they themselves will come back and thank him, saying that, Father, because of your challenges, I could be able to pass through the exams. I could score highest marks. if you want to give a good education, there is no doubt one has to be a disciplinary educationalist. But I believe that at the end of the day, Father Ravi is very human and kind and understanding. I too believe that today, to be an educationalist is very much challenging at the crossroads of the society. Naturally, in this process, one can be misunderstood, one can be criticized, one can be insulted, and one can be humiliated. Here one needs to be convinced of one's principles and motivations to stand firm irrespective of all these bitter experiences. As psalmist say in Psalm 126:5, those who sow with tears will reap with the songs of joy. In these past 25 years, you have sown with tears, with hardships and difficulties, but today you can reap with the songs of joy and happiness. You can see those children who are brought up under your paternal care and who stand in the highest positions in the society. When they come back to you and they say, Father, it is you who gave us this life. It is you who taught us the value educational system. Because of your punishments, I could correct myself and I could achieve my goals. I think when you hear all these children, you may have to reap with the tears of happiness. Today's gospel that we have just heard underlines about the consequences of our discipleship. First, fruitful discipleship, and secondly, joyful discipleship. Jesus is not planting us in a rocky area and asking us to give fruits, but rather He is planting us in His heart, in His life, and assuring us a fertile land which cannot be otherwise than giving fruits. John 17:7, today we have heard, if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. He is not asking the disciples to bear just fruits, but the weight falls also on much fruits. Plenty, more fruit, in abundance, overflowing, countless. How Jesus can ask us if we don't have those potentialities? That's why He is inviting us to remain with Him. One of the favorite words that evangelist John uses very strongly is that the verb to remain. In Greek it is menein. Especially in this chapter he uses more than anywhere else. It is not just like keeping an object on the table and it remains there. It means to be anchored, strongly attached, inseparably united, totally dependent. For that reason, Jesus gives a beautiful example, saying, I am vine and you are the branches. As the branches cannot live by themselves without being attached to the main stem, in the same manner, a disciple cannot be a disciple without being attached to the master. As the main stem continuously pumping the life into the branches, our master is continuously nurturing us with his own life. That's the reason Jesus telling the disciples, bear much fruit. Do not be satisfied with petty things. Go out of yourself. Go another mile. Go to the peripheries. Go to the wounded humanity, marginalized society, discarded society. Jesus says to his disciples, if you bear more fruit, then you can glorify the Father as I am glorifying my Father with my attachment with the Father. You need to remain with me and glorify the Father. In John 15:11, Jesus says, I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. The result of remaining with Jesus, being anchored with Jesus like vine and branches, is nothing but receiving complete happiness. You don't need anything else. It's called eternal bliss. One of the bishops used to say, a sad priest is a bad priest. You cannot give what you don't have. If you want to make people happy, first of all, one needs to experience the happiness. Jesus is the source of the perfect happiness. When you share your happiness, in other words, you are sharing Jesus to others. You are witnessing Jesus to others. I am sure that the day of his ordination, it was undoubtedly an important day in his life, in which Father Ravi said yes to the Lord in order to work in the vineyard. 25 years ago, he said yes to the Lord without knowing anything of his future. Though the readings of the day of your ordination, you must have taken, as many people take, the famous and classical vocational sentence of Jesus to his disciples. I have chosen you, not you have chosen me. After 25 years, if you read once again these verses, you would understand the real meaning of this sentence. Yes, we would say, yes, really, he has chosen us. He has molded us. He has corrected us like he corrected Peter by saying, man of little faith. He has rebuked us like he rebuked the disciples while Jesus was sleeping in a boat which was caught up in a heavy storm. He loved us as he loved his disciples, as it is written in John 13:1-1. Having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. He forgave us as he forgave his disciples. He entrusted us his mission as he entrusted to his disciples. He is encountering us in the Eucharist as he encountered the disciples and as the risen Lord. Dear Father Ravi, let us not stop our journey with our Lord. I am not sure whether we will be together for our Golden Jubilee celebrations. But let me hope that we are together with the Lord always. Once again, my heartfelt congratulations on this auspicious occasion, and may God bless you abundantly and be a happy priest. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.